Hello, I'm Avantika and I'm here to share with you lessons that made me a cook through the basics of Indian cuisine. We've had some peas and we've had eggs, which is a great appetizer or a breakfast. But if you're still hungry for more, I have just the thing for you. An easy tomato rice that uses just some basic vegetables and again, just the spices from our 7 spices. I have a pot here that I'm going to start heating with a bit of oil, and you do need to wash and rinse and then soak your rice for about 20 minutes. If you haven't seen my previous videos, we will leave a link below that gives you a detailed tutorial to how to cook rice to perfection. While my oil is coming up to heat, let me walk you through the vegetables I will be using today. I have roughly crushed 1 clove of garlic and I'm using 1 little knob of ginger to flavor my rice. You can use any vegetables you want. I have just gone with the pantry basics, about 1/3 of a cup of sliced onion and the same quantity of sliced bell pepper. The oil is shimmering now, which means it's ready for our spices. This process in Indian cooking is called tempering. The spices I'm going to start with is 1/2 teaspoon of black mustard seeds and the same quantity of cumin seeds. As we've spoken before, whole spices go directly into the oil and dry ground spices must be added after something else has been added to it, maybe some kind of a soup, lentils, or in our case it'll be vegetables and some canned tomatoes. We'll know it's ready for the seeds once you hear the seeds popping. It's almost like making popcorn. And they will turn a darker hue of brown. You can turn down the heat if this is too intimidating for you and straight off everything in at the same time. My intention is not to brown these onions in any way, so I'm going to add in about 1/4 teaspoon of salt at this point to just help them soften. And I do want the oil to help absorb the flavor of the chili, so I'm going to add in my chili flakes at this point, about 1/4 teaspoon. You can adjust this to your taste. If you wanted a stronger ginger and garlic flavor, you could chop them finer, but I'm just going to fish it out at the end of the cooking process. Heat back up to 6.5 and I'm just going to use a lid to help it coax along quicker. So as we can see, this is just where I need the vegetables to be. They've just started to soften. And you can see the color on the garlic clove. It's just a soft golden touch, not too dark. At this point, I'm going to add my chopped tomatoes. Now, this is to taste. You can add as much or as little as you want. You can use any other tomato product of your choice. I'm going to go ahead with an entire can today. We are going to bring it up to a simmer just to make sure that all the spices and the tomatoes together form a uniform spice paste, which will be ready to flavor my rice as soon as it hits the pot. I'm going to add a couple of other things at this point. I will add in 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric to it. And instead of salt, I'm going to use some chicken stock. You can use any other stock that you like or have left over, or you could just go with water. So I've been cooking this for about 3 to 4 minutes and I tried to press the garlic clove and it completely disintegrated in the cooking liquid. So that's one less thing to look for at the end of the cooking. But To me, this is right where I want it to be. It has the consistency of a tomato chutney. I'm going to add in my washed 1 1/4 cup of rice to this now. Turn this gently in the spices. Because the rice is soaked, it's going to be very, very fragile. And now I'm going to add in my stock. Now there was a fair amount of liquid from the canned tomatoes, so I'm going to use the same can and just measure out half the volume worth of water. Mine is stock. You can use any cooking liquid that you like. What we are looking for is that we want about ½ inch of liquid above the level of rice. So I am going to add in maybe another 1/8 to 1/3 of a cup of water to this. And that was maybe 3 tablespoons, if that. That looks about perfect to me. Now I'm just going to bring it to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, we are going to add some garam masala and then put the lid on. Remember, garam masala loses its fragrance very quickly, so we only add it in when we are towards the end of the cooking process, and we are not going to remove the lid in between the process. So you can see there's already bubbles forming, and in a minute or so we will have a really vigorous boil in the rice. I'm going to increase the heat to gas mark 9. And now we can see we have great big bubbles here. So time to add my garam masala. I'm going to add about 1/4 teaspoon of this spice to it. Oh, as soon as it hits that warmth, you can smell it in the studio. Just going to give my rice a very, very gentle stir and just make sure that my knob of ginger is within reach. Now just turn the heat down to gas mark 4 to, I'm going to go with 3.5, and clamp the lid on. This is going to cook for 10 minutes. After that, turn the heat off and let it sit for another 5 minutes. By which time, I promise you, the rice will be perfectly cooked. But do not open the lid, otherwise all the steam will escape and it will not cook in the residual heat. And this is my rice after I let it stand for 5 minutes. As you can see, there's just a touch of crust here, just that terracotta hue. It's not brown. Whenever you add tomatoes to your rice, it will try to stick to the bottom. That is the reason why we cooked it at a much lower temperature than I would with just steamed rice. But as we know, with paella and with any of the other rice dishes that have tomatoes in it, this is the most coveted price. So I'm just going to give it a gentle stir so that everybody gets a bit of it, and I'm just going to carpet it with some fresh coriander and serve it up. Remember, cooking above all is a basic survival skill. With the right motivation and a little guidance, we are all capable of mastering it. To continue developing your cooking skills, do subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon. Let us know if this tutorial helped you by typing yes or easy in the comment section below. And I will see you shortly with the next recipe.